I woke up to the sound of my front door unlocking from the outside, metal clanking, a burst of humming, and that unmistakable cloud of cucumber melon lotion wafting right under the door jamb, and a tote bag that screamed "Board Business" in pink glitter letters. "Good morning, Connor," she chirped, way too chipper for sunrise. Per section 14, subsection me. I will be moving in today. Right behind her stood this guy in a neon safety vest, HOA's self-appointed safety liaison, holding a doormat that read "This house obeys" in big, bossy letters. My coffee went stone cold in my hand. I mowed diagonal stripes into my lawn. Never had a party so loud it shook the paint off anyone's drywall. And then came Bonnie Harker, our HOA president, hobby tyrant, the sort of person who treats bylaws like they're carved into Mount Sinai. My first real run-in with Bonnie. She cited me for aggressive basil. "I'm serious," said my herb plant had overgrown the garden bed by exactly 1 inch. She measured it 3 times with a ruler while I just stood in my kitchen window wondering if this was actually happening. After that, fines started popping up like dandelions. Non-compliant wind chimes. I don't even own wind chimes. Curtain color violations. She insisted my curtains were beige when the approved shade was tan. And a mailbox font infraction. Apparently Helvetica is the devil and Arial is gospel. I paid the fines, showed up to the board meeting, listened to Bonnie lecture us about community cohesion, and then quietly retreated back to my life. I even changed the mailbox font, though Helvetica's still superior, you know what I mean? Then Bonnie's world fell apart. Her husband left, took the dog and the patio furniture, and the rest of the board started. Occupant vitality. First time, I thought someone was breaking in, called 911, and the dispatcher just sighed and said it was the HOA president again. Next thing, she's stapling pink notices to my door, urgent occupancy corrections, accusing me of living alone without an approved cohabitation plan, which, by the way, is not a real thing anywhere except maybe in her imagination. She measured my curtains with a retractable tape in broad daylight, while I was brushing my teeth, no less. I asked her to leave. She reminded me my lawn abuts common space, giving her some kind of imaginary right of trespass. Said resistance would be noted in my permanent file. Permanent file? I started feeling like I was living in a bureaucratic twilight zone. Then came the rumors. Bonnie telling the whole neighborhood I was renting out rooms to tech nomads, like I was running an illegal Airbnb. She sent out next-door posts claiming my house was a hotbed of transients and sourdough starters. For the record, those were my parents at Thanksgiving. But the cherry on top? Certified letter, glitter pen, little hearts dotting the I's, an official emergency residency placement, telling me she'd be moving in to ensure proper household management. I refused on the spot, CC'd the whole board, found a real estate attorney online who, after she stopped laughing, told me this was absolutely not legal and to start documenting everything. Bonnie lost her mind. An hour later, 2 patrol cars rolled up. Bonnie had reported a domestic dispute, complete fiction. I invited the officers in, showed them my perfectly normal, empty guest room, handed them a folder so thick with Bonnie's weird notices it needed its own table of contents. One cop, kind eyes, asked if there was any legal writ for the placement. Before I could answer, Bonnie barged in, suitcase in tow, shouting that my living situation posed an imminent peril to the community's quality of life. She hands the officer a provisional occupancy warrant, lavender paper, cartoon house with a thumbs up. The officer stared at it for a full minute like it was written in crayon, then radioed for backup, exhaling all the way from disbelief to official procedure. He asked Bonnie to step outside. She refused until he made it clear she had no business inside my home. The next day, the city code inspector showed up, and so did a county mediator. Because Bonnie had now reported public safety concerns, the HOA's insurance guy arrived too, looking like he'd seen every crazy thing. But even he seemed a little shocked when Bonnie outlined her plan. We all sat around my kitchen table, me, Bonnie, the mediator, the inspector, and Gerald the insurance guy, stacking bylaws, board minutes, and Bonnie's homemade warrants in a neat pile. The inspector pointed out, calmly, that none of this authorized anyone to move into my house. The mediator peered over her glasses, asked Bonnie which statute allowed her to cohabitate with homeowners. Bonnie replied, dead serious. The statute of common sense. The officer wrote, no such statute exists. Gerald, the insurance guy, coughed and asked why the HOA account was being billed for temporary occupancy kits, air mattresses, key sets, residency candles. He looked right at Bonnie. Who has the HOA? Credit card. Bonnie said it was for emergencies. Gerald pulled out an invoice. Bedding set from Pottery Barn labeled Presidential Quarters. Silence. You could hear the neighbor's dog whimper down the street. A special HOA meeting was called. Rec Center smelled like microwave carrots and dashed hopes. I brought popcorn. The insurance guy brought a projector. Residents shuffled in, confused. And suddenly the projectors showing line items, board lodging deployment, strategic couch, motivational door hangers, recurring charge for locksmith on retainer. Then emails, Bonnie ordering. Master keys, instructing the safety liaison to trial the Vail unit, coaching the treasurer on how to spin this as an anti-squatting initiative. Folks started whispering, then gasping. Someone called. Out. How many homes did she try to move into? Answer, 3. 3 other single men had received the same placement notice but thought it was a prank. The same officer, as before, came to the front, clipboard in hand. Criminal trespass, credit card abuse, harassment, false police reports. The board voted to suspend Bonnie on the spot. Unanimous, not even a debate. The officer escorted her out, her suitcase bumping down the linoleum like a defeated drum, Bonnie shouting about curtains and collapsing property values. 2 weeks later, the county prosecutor filed charges, criminal trespass, credit card fraud, harassment, 3 counts of false reporting, $8,000 in unauthorized expenses. At her hearing, Bonnie represented herself, told the judge she was protecting community standards. The judge, dry as toast, asked if she understood homeowners have rights. Bonnie insisted those rights were secondary to community aesthetics. He sentenced her to a year of probation, 200 hours of courthouse community service, full restitution, almost $15,000, banned her from every HOA board in the county for 5 years, and added mandatory anger. Water, clutching a binder labeled Emergency Bylaws. She stammered, "But Your Honor, who will enforce the mailbox font regulations?" The judge just looked at her over his glasses. "Miss Harker, that is no longer your concern, nor was it ever your authority to enter someone's home." She was escorted out, red-faced, muttering about ungrateful neighbors and property values. And that, folks, is how my HOA nightmare ended, not with a bang, but with Bonnie's suitcase echoing down the hallway. So let me ask you, where do you draw the line between protecting a neighborhood and outright controlling it? Ever had an HOA overstep like this? Drop your story below, because honestly, I think a few of us could write a whole book.